Hello and welcome to Prospect eSports Showdown GOATS Tournament Season 2. I'm Archer and I'm joined by my co-caster, Lord Ethan.
Hey Archer, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm looking forward to watching some good old Overwatch tonight.
Yeah, some good Overwatch. That is one word to describe one of my personal favorite compositions in all the history of Overwatch. Many longtime players might look back at the goats composition with rose-colored glasses, but certainly at the time it was pretty impressive. But three tanks, three supports requires just insane coordination and some really good strategy planning. Um, uh, like I said, good. That's just one way to describe what we'll be watching tonight.
Definitely. I think this will be a decent matchup. Currently the scores are not in favor for Peachimaris. They're at 1-3 right now. One win, three losses. And the bench is sitting at 2-2 right now. Two wins, two losses. So both of them are looking to claim some more ground here, but just from previous experience, it looks like the bench has the favor here.
Yeah, the bench versus Peachimaris, and actually, I think that I've gotten to watch the bench play during the regular season for Prospect Esports. I think that'll be actually season 3 will be happening here relatively soon. Um, Definitely some really good, competent players, really good communication and coordination within the formation of the bench. They'll be starting out with with several players that I've gotten to watch before. So Peachimaris definitely has the work cut out for them tonight. Like you said, Peachimaris definitely down in the standings compared to the bench, and honestly, part of that is actually correct me if I'm wrong, Archer, but part of that is off of a forfeit actually. So that one victory point that they do have, it was really just because they didn't end up playing, or rather, the team that they were supposed to play ended up forfeiting.
That is correct. So it'll be interesting to see how Peachamari plays tonight. I would love for them to get a win, or not a win necessarily. I'd love for them to get a win. I would absolutely love for them to get a win
Yeah.
and take some more. Take that glory, take that uh, pride into their future matches. But I'd love for them to take a map, take two maps, something crazy like that. I'm looking forward to this match.
Yeah, and also, just looking at our map pool as well, going to be particular interesting. Of course, we'll be going from control to assault, then to hybrid, escort if we need to go to maps 4 and 5, escort, and then another control. But the maps in particular here are going to be interesting. Busan and Ilios. Busan, I think that which hadn't even released until after 222 roll lock was added to the game. Very interesting here, Archer. Assault maps. Our choices are Horizon Lunar Colony or Paris. So the winner of our first control point map is going to be able to pick the lesser of two evils here in our 2CP category, and then from there, I would love to watch some Kings Row, but watching the high ground of Hollywood. Of the streets phase of Hollywood, contested by a GOATS composition, is also going to be a lot of fun. So definitely for all those who are watching, thanks so much for tuning in. You guys are definitely going to want to stick around for the entire duration of this series. Should be some very exciting games.
Definitely, this will be a good match, and we're looking forward to getting started rather quickly. Just finishing up some lobby stuff before we head into the match.
Yeah, so bear with us, guys, as we work through all of that. For me, the question tonight is the bench and Peachimaris. Who wins this first map, right? And after they do win that first map, how does the enemy team or how does the other team respond to that victory? Are we going to see the quintessential GOATS composition, Rhine, Zarya, Diva, Brigitte, Zen, and Lucio run tonight, or are we going to see variations of the GOATS comp? Unfortunately, we aren't going to see any DPS hybrid GOATS compositions tonight. It's going to be no Sombra GOATS or anything like that, but we might see some Moira GOATS. I got to see some Sigma GOATS the other day, which was particularly interesting. You might opt for the triple shield if you run Sig, Orisa, and Reinhardt. You're really, your only limitations are going to be that you have 3 tanks and 3 supports in your composition. So are we going to see teams get creative, or are we just going to see them just kind of opt into the Clown Fiesta, as Brendan Hook of the Overwatch League originally called the GOATS composition, and just run it down mid?
It will be very interesting to see which if there is any variation in the tank line, because if they do have variation in tank line and they go with like a triple shield setup, my guess is they would also go with like a Baptiste. Granted, I haven't played
Yeah.
Ghosts before. I'm a little sad that I haven't gotten to experience
Oh.
that. And so I don't know if you necessarily need the Lucio if you're running more of like a bunker composition style, and if you could swap out the Lucio with the Baptiste.
Yeah, so again, seeing those variations tonight are going to be a lot of fun. That's if these teams try to get creative, especially on a map like Horizon Lunar Colony. We'll end up cracking that egg whenever we get there. Lots to break down there. Be sure, guys, to cast your predictions in the chat as well. Rack up those channel points for the victor of our first map in the series here between the Bench and Peachimaris. Honestly, kind of fan favorites here, or rather the favored team in this matchup is looking to be the Bench. But again, I'm hopeful in the studio that this series goes the distance, that we have Peachimaris taking a map or 2, or maybe 3, and making it a quick series. But again, I'm here in the booth with Archer, ready to cast just some really fun Overwatch. That all being said, it looks like we're getting some readies, maybe from both these teams.
Yeah, both teams ready. I think we're ready to go in and start our first map of this tournament, or this match between the Bench and Peachimaris.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be heading into Busan for our first map. Actually, one of my favorite control point maps. Mainly because I don't like the others, but this map is really 50-50. Some players have great contention with aspects of Busan. There's definitely a lot of parts of the map, especially here in downtown, that just aren't going to be used by these team compositions. The high ground that you would normally see dominated by the Widowmaker or other snipers, we're not going to get to see those. Instead, we're going to get to see our compositions here in just a few seconds. And it's definitely going to have 3 tanks, 3 supports.
Definitely. My guess, though, is it'll be a rush to the point, and it's either going to be a fight on the point or a fight by where you see these posters on the wall here in that center area. The fight's either going to be there or on point, and then after points capped, my guess is they're going to go straight to the choke where the other team comes from. They might not, though, because the other team could rotate around and go down by the subways and the trains. But my guess is most of the fighting will take place near the choke from either side.
Looks like we do have the, again, that typical GOATS composition coming out. We saw something pretty interesting coming out there earlier, but ultimately both teams end up defaulting. And here, just as you said, it's a rush to the middle, free swinging on to either team. It looks like we have Zed pinning off in the opposite direction. Teamfight's going to end up anchoring back to that Reinhardt there, the tip of the spear in the GOATS formation. And our first blood is going to be in the form of a D-Mech onto Seriator on the D.Va, followed up by Zed and Adable on the Brig. It looks like the picks here are favoring Peachimaris for this first team fight. A remake from Seriator doesn't really get any eliminations, and we have one on the objective. It is a D-Max star trying to capture the point. And wow, Seriator just popping up in this kill feed with the assistance from Silvertals, and that's going to be our first capture of the objective here for the Bench.
I thought the Bench played that wrong with the Rhine pinning to the side, and then they lost some players, but somehow they did manage to bring it back.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I thought that Peachimaris had that in the bag, but it looks like Patience got the best of them. And oh, look at that shatter coming down onto 2 supports here from Peachimaris. Silvertall's finding the final blow onto Be Natural, and just the rest of them collapsing around there. I think we're gonna have a stagger onto Star. Oh no, let her live. No.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because lots of ults are built up on both sides, and I'm looking forward to this, since this is one of my, not necessarily first time spectating GOATs, but definitely casting it, and so it'll be interesting how they use stuff like the grabs coming out.
And one of them coming out, and I'm actually not even sure where it ended up getting launched. And the bomb as well from Seriator going into the mid lines, not finding anything with the bomb, but rather with the rockets and the guns. And that's another team fight in the books here for the bench. The spawn doors here for Peachimaris just an impassable. Oh no, Star going down there again. They can't even get out.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate. But they do have ults coming online. Peachimari has multiple ults coming online. You could see something like a grav bomb or something like that. And here comes out the shatter.
Yeah, from Zed after a pin onto Derpy. And this is already over. All of the ults here expended for the bench, so Peachimaris might have a decent chance at least connecting to the objective. Anything can happen from there, but they're going to have to do it on the back of these support ultimates that they've got. 3 of them in the bank. Rally here to initiate the fight, but not to sustain them as Derpy goes down, and Lemon can't even get out of the spawn to beat. Trashly has the Transcendence, but wasn't able to leave, and without even a single fight on the objective, the bench is going to take the first map here in downtown.
And that really is the best way to play, at least GOATs and Overwatch. You just hold, not necessarily out their spawn door, but you want to take as many fights as you can before the enemy team gets to the objective. And so being able to position so closely and engage in those fights as soon as they're trying to walk out of spawn really is a good way to play. And it really didn't allow Peachimari to make any progress.
Yeah, and with the way that the GOATS comp is oriented, you know, you've got so much sustain, and now a lot of damage as well coming out from the Reinhardt. But map control is so important. Here now, foregoing the typical GOATS composition, this is interesting, what we're seeing from the bench. What is this comp, Archer?
They're definitely going for more of that map control. With the ball, you can displace. With the hog, you're going for hooks here. But will they be able to sustain the brawl from Peachimari?
If the fight happens all over the place, which is definitely what the bench wants, then yeah, they're gonna benefit from this comp. As Silvertoss finds 2, Weaselcake and Trashly both going down, followed by Derpy. There's all of the healing and half the damage from the team. Star, once again, the last pick of the team fight. Leave the staggers alone. Seriator, now on the Sigma, is gonna find some of the last picks in that fight, and they're gonna be able to build pretty easy control of this first capture.
There really is no target for Peachimaris to engage on, since everyone can separate and spread out so quickly. And so the question is, will Peachimari be able to come up with a counter to this?
Not off the back of a pile drive elimination on a Be Natural from Zed there. Really good Wrecking Ball gameplay, and it's going to follow up with a DMAC onto Star. Ends up going down to a critical hit finish from Silvertalls, who also gets Weasel out of the fight. When I said that half the damage was out as Trashly collapses on the side of Peachimaris, I definitely wasn't kidding. Zenyatta is so important in the GOATS comp because, like you mentioned, the target prioritization, he's a big part of that.
Definitely. He provides so much utility with the Discord, which adds 30% damage to everything.
And he also has one of the best defensive ults in the game in Transcendence, which wasn't there in the presence of a Agoritic Flux from Seriator. DMAC coming back from start wasn't enough to kill the Sigma here for the bench, and now another spawn door hold.
And they can hold this close. Well, they don't have any ults now, but they were able to push that far forward because they had so many ults available to them. Peachimaris is now coming up on a couple of ults. They could push hard with the Transcendence.
They might. They might be able to do it. Yeah, since the Transcendence came out from Silvertalls, it's go time here. It looks like Star had lobbed the bomb, but not into the mid lines or where the bench was backing up. However, they backed up far enough to subject themselves to the shatter from Weasel Kick. Finally, some eliminations popping up here in the kill feed for Peachimaris. It looks like it's going to reward them with a point capture, but they have to keep an eye out for Aurora and Sebs in the backline, splitting the team apart, and that's not something you can do for GOATs. You can't chase after 2 picks and be 3 people in 2 different places. You've got to go after all these picks all at once, and as Zed connects to the objective, we're going to see the formation begin fraying at the edges here. Trashly looks like they might go down to Aurora. Actually ended up going down to Zed. Another Gravitic Flux here from Seriator is going to lift them into the air, but the beat is there from Lemon to sustain Peachimaris. It's not going to keep Weasel Cake from collapsing on the objective, but the name of the game here is just staying on the point, and the rally from Derpy is going to help with that, but not if they get killed by the mine from Zed. The Wrecking Ball coming in clutch here for the bench, and as B Natural ends up the last blood of this team fight, 7 seconds to touch, and Archer, I think hope is grim here for Peachimaris.
It is very grim. They don't have a shot. There's no shot that they can touch, and it's unfortunate, but the grim reality is there. The bench wins the first map. First map of this matchup.
Yeah, and been retired in the chat. They didn't calm, played in silence. Might as well play in the dark too. New Master, what is this comp? I mean, my question isn't so much what is this comp, it's what is the answer that Peachimaris has to develop for this composition if the bench continues to run it here. Leading now this series 1-0. Peachimaris is definitely gonna, again, they have their work cut out for them. They need to find a solution here. They need to find their rhythm. They need to find that target prioritization, like you had said. Now might be a good opportunity for them to do that as they do get to pick the next map. Archer, between Horizon, Lunar Colony, and Paris, which one do you want? Well, I mean, we don't want either of those maps. We don't want to see either of them, right? But which one would you rather see played over the other?
I don't know. I think I'd rather see Paris, because I think it's a slightly just like advantageous map just in general. I think it has it's I don't know. I think I would rather see Paris be played. I think there's a lot of fun stuff that could happen in Paris. Granted, it's mostly sitting on high ground, and so I would be fine with Horizon Lunar Colony, which is also sitting on high ground, and waiting for teams to come together.
Yeah, I think you're totally onto something here with Paris. It definitely does suit the GOAT's composition a little bit better in terms of map design. Like you said, there's definitely high ground to play around. But ultimately, you know, when I think about Paris, I do think about the slower pace compositions, like Double Shield, which was really popular back when Paris was still in the competitive map pool. I'm so sorry to elicit those memories from our viewers who have long forgotten having to play Paris in competitive. But you know, honestly, Horizon Lunar Colony is much more favorable to these kinds of bunker down, slow pace poke compositions that are starting to become popular on the ladder right now. Certainly better in some of these wide open spaces that Paris offers, as well as the fork in the road towards the second objective. Seems like it might end up playing a little bit easier for the GOAT's composition, but we'll have to see what Peachimaris ends up picking. I am with you. I think I'd rather see Paris. Maybe for me, that's just because Paris is super aesthetically pleasing. Maybe another part of it is if we go to Horizon Lunar Colony, we will see a fight in space, I'm sure, and I don't know that I have the energy for that.
Well, we are going to Horizon. I think a space fight would actually be amazing. I didn't even consider that when I was thinking map picks.
I spoke too soon. The caster's curse kicking me here. They picked Horizon?
Yep, Horizon.
Oh, no.
Peachimaris' pick is Horizon, and
the chat is going wild here, saying space fight. Everyone wants to take a fight into space, and here starting for our defense, it looks like we'll have we'll actually have Peachimaris on the defense here.
Yeah, it is Peachimaris on the defense, which most teams would rather defend first and then attack, I feel like. Or I'm just, yeah, I got it backwards. I can't remember. It's been a long day, but I'm here casting and I'm excited.
I know for defending, I know for defending, it's it's a way to make the match a little bit shorter as well. If you're able to full hold, it gives you a good opportunity to figure out what the enemy team is running as well. The strategies that they're employing, definitely a little bit less relevant when both teams are running 3 tanks and 3 supports. What I'm intrigued by is the adaptations that we'll see from Peachimaris. I don't know if they have strategies here for Horizon Lunar Colony. You don't have it in competitive play right now. It is one of 2 maps that simply is not in the competitive map pool. I'm pretty sure most of the people who end up queuing into it in quick play and casual ends up leaving anyways because it is notorious amongst the community for just not being very good. And then on top of that, you really are not going to find a team that is willing to scrimmage on either of these two CP maps. Everyone would much sooner opt for any of the other assault maps: Anubis, Volskaya, Hanamura. Maybe it's just those 3. And so I'm curious to see what the strategies are for both these teams, or if it does boil down to simply run it down mid.
Definitely. I think if you to play at an even faster pace, you could run some type of dive comp.
Mhm.
It would be very interesting to play, and there you could do a lot with it. But all classic goats that works as well. Well, hopefully it works. Uh, it'll be interesting to see how each of these different teams play it. Whether we have more variety coming out from the bench, which I'm hope there is, and I'm looking forward to it if there is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll just have to see here in a few moments as we head into Horizon Lunar Colony. Be sure, guys, that you did not miss the opportunity to cast your predictions in the chat. If you missed out this time, then you'll definitely have it in our map 3, hopefully our map 4, and God willing, our map 5. But you definitely want to rack up those channel points and cast your bets for who you think is gonna win this match. The bench, a decisive show off of what they're capable of here in Busan Map 1, coming out with a with a 2-0, 100-0 in both rounds. So I'm definitely looking at them with a keen eye. But again, Peachimaris picking Horizon Lunar Colony, they might have some kind of strategy that might end up surprising us. You're heading into Horizon Lunar Colony. Another thing that our chat is looking forward to, not just the chat for Twitch, but also the general match chat here between these 2 teams, is Space Wars. Here in Horizon Lunar Colony, the gimmick, if you will, the anti-gravity or zero gravity section outside the first objective. It's just a really curious addition to the map, but it looks like it'll be utilized here by both these teams.
I'm excited for that space fight. Most teams would not choose to fight in space, especially if you got like booped by Lucio just out into the pit. You're just flying away as you're watching your team either win or lose the fight, and you're just sailing away, and you can't do anything.
No, you don't have any agency over your movement or your ability usage out in space, which makes it so risky. And here, the defending squad, Lemon on that Lucio, Derpy on that Brig, Star on the Diva. You've got so much boot potential, and they're already setting themselves up on the high ground towards the doors leading to space. I think we're gonna see a space fight. But look at this dive comp that you mentioned. We might see Archivist subbing in with Sebs now on the Winston Diva with a Zarya Incinerator.
Yeah, it's very interesting because being on dive, they can also access the high ground much easier, and they completely opt to just dive the point. They don't even go for the space fight.
A little unfortunate here for our viewers and maybe us in the booth. Weasel opening up the fight with a pin onto Nebula. Looks like we got a DMAC onto Star as well. Weasel ends up going down to the damage from Sebs. Again, all amplified here by Silvertals, putting in work on the Zenyatta, lighting up the kill feed. If it's not final blows, it's those offensive assists that they're offering between the Discord targets, and that's a really quick take of the first objective. How much time are they going to have in the bank after this?
They're gonna have like 6 minutes and 6 minutes and 10 seconds. They have tons of time, and that's probably one of the reasons this map was removed from competitive play.
Yeah. The next fight, not skipping a beat before breaking out on the high ground over the first objective. Derpy is first blood. Dying here is actually really bad for Peachimaris, but Weasel getting the pin onto Seriator might mean a little bit of a difference here. As Lemon and Trashly go down, there goes the healing for the comp, and the shatter comes out from Weasel, but the bomb is bigger. Sebs getting 3 in that fight is gonna put this team, the defenders, Peachimaris, into stall territory. Part of the stall is the bomb. Actually ends up getting a remat kill onto Nebula, which is huge, but the dive onto Lemon Wench and Trashly is big from Archivist, finding Lemon Wench out with the jump pack kill. Trashly has to pop the Transcendence in the interest of staying alive here, but is going to immediately get confronted with both of the dive tanks for the bench. Transcendence from the bench, Silvertall's popping the powerful defensive ult to keep the team sustained, and a rally coming in from Nebula, reconnecting to the fight. Derpy goes down again. The stall suffering here for Peachimaris as one by one they collapse on the point. 1 tick of progress here taken for the bench, and the fight is just so long. Lemon Wench goes down, but Trashly and Star are back out. Bomb from Sebs is going to eliminate Star, who had gotten demeched. Primal Rage from Archivist is going to look to push the forces of Peachimaris back. Is there an opportunity to touch? Derpy popped the rally, but got booped off.
That play by Archivist right there to boot both the pinning Rhine and the Brig away from the point was a solid play. I'm still a little sad we didn't see a space fight, but there is potential. I don't think we'll see a space fight simply because the bench set such a fast time. 4 minutes and 42 seconds for their next attack, which I believe is longer than what you normally start with. I think you start with 3 minutes or maybe 4 minutes.
Yeah, you start
and they have 4:42.
Yeah, ample time in the bank here for the bench. Now defending here, space battle ? Being echoed in the match chat. We'll see if they end up coming through with that. But you're right. Either way, Peachimaris has to. I don't know if they can equalize the time bank, but they definitely have to capture both objectives. It might be a relatively simple endeavor, considering that Horizon Lunar Colony isn't really played, isn't very kind to defending teams, or attacking teams for that matter. It's just, oh goodness, it's so 50-50. But if they take a space fight, my question is, can they throw the bench off enough to capture first objective with a good enough time bank for a good push to second?
That's a good question, but from what I've been reading in match chat, is that the bench is going to take a space fight, and if Peachimaris wins the space fight, then they will let them cap first. So it'll be interesting if we do see a space fight. That's what I'm looking for here, but we'll see where they rotate to.
So far, no.
No takers.
Space there, yeah, no. Opting instead to just navigate under this high ground. In fact, the forces of the bench are going to rotate back over towards the central platforms. But look at the backstab here from Peachimaris coming up behind the formation of the bench and just free swinging into there. However, Derpy is going to be punished for the aggression, followed quickly by Trashly. There goes once again the healing and the damage are gone for the team. Pocket Ninja, despite being high energy, is going to be gone without the supports here for Peachimaris, and that's going to be a first team fight in the books for the bench.
And the bench can just capitalize on anyone out of position because they just all dive that one character, and then that character is just blown up and they're gone. And that is what the speed and versatility of Winston compared to Reinhardt is in this GOATS comp.
especially being able to kind of brawl it out on the low ground, and then you have those cooldowns to quickly retake the high ground and kind of reset yourself into this position. Look at Derpy Elf going down, as well as Trashly for early for a second time in this fight. Weasel goes to pop the Shatter, but isn't able to follow through with the animation. The damage is simply too immense from the bench. Pocket Ninja already on the objective is going to be picked out, staggered, if you will, and we have some ultimates now coming up online for the bench, which is going to help solidify their defense of this first point.
They're coming up close to all 6 ultimates, and they can use those when and where they like. So far, they haven't had to really commit anything to any of these fights. They just drop in on an unsuspecting target, and then the fight's over.
There's the Graviton Surge from Sebs. From Seriator. Sebs popping the bomb there. Archivist finding the final blow onto Pocket Ninja one by one. Actually, almost all at once. Yeah, fast enough for a team kill. Peachimaris will collapse in the choke. Only 2 ultimates spared there for the defense. They're going to be coming up on this Coalescence, and that's going to be one to watch out for.
Sebs was spawn camping them, and he got a mech kill.
Onto Derpy Elf, that's the core of the Goats comp, the source of all of the sustain, staggered in spawn. Absolutely brutal. Tragic, one might say.
It was very unfortunate there. But you did see when the Grav Bomb did come out, Peachimaris did make the right rotation here, but at that point, there was just so much damage that they couldn't hold up anymore.
There's a bomb. It actually does find Seriator from Star. Because of getting pushed off the point, Silvertals actually has to pop the Transcendence to keep themselves in the fight. Aurora finds Trashly out in the back line, so it looks like the Zenyatta player for Peachimaris was just a little isolated there, and Aurora has this Coalescence to defend the point. There it comes. Unmitigatable damage and sustain here for the defending team, but Pocket Ninja and Star are finding picks onto Archivist and Silvertals. The tip of the spear here in the form of the Winston from Archivist, and now rejoining the fight as Reinhardt Weaselcake is going to be able to find Sebs out with a Fire Strike. Finally, some serious objective progress being captured here, and Aurora taking another 1v1 against Trashly. Leave my fellow Zenyatta player alone, Aurora. Finds them out with the damage roll. Pocket Ninja, where's the bubble? Where's the friendly particle barrier? Where's the attention, the care onto Aurora in the midline, sucking the life out of people, and Weaselcake finally gets them out with a Shatter. Now the defending the defending bench is backing up far enough away to avoid the Shatter that came out from Weaselcake. Maybe a little bit of an overcommitment as Trashly reconnects, but the grab and the pile drive is big. The Transcendence quick in response here. It's going to keep the team alive, which is so important as they cross this distance and continue pushing the bench back. Particle barriers coming out for both teams, and it's ultimately going to keep the team alive long enough for Peachimaris to find a pick onto Silvertals. So important since Silvertals has the Transcendence. Aurora, however, finds 2. Both supports, Lemon Winch and Derpy Elf, going down. Seriator is gone, but the only source of sustenance, I spoke too soon. Trashly is gone as well. Aurora finding these picks. Yeah, turn around and deal with the Moira.
It's really surprising that they haven't found a way to counter Aurora, always in the backline getting these picks. They really just turn the fight, and they stop it most of the time, because it's mostly on Trashly, and he gets eliminated so early in the fight that they can't push forward.
Didn't they start that fight with a man advantage?
I think so. The Goats fights go on forever, so I think initially Aurora killed Trashly, and then the bench pushed forward, but then they got, the Brawl Core pushed into them, and they took space, and then they rotated right. It's crazy.
Even crazier here is for any of Peachimaris to die here, or maybe for them to succeed. Aurora solo coalescing, Trashly down, assisted by Archivist now on the Wrecking Ball. The pressure onto Star is going to be too much. Star has to use the boosters to get out of there as Archivist lights up the kill feed, already 36% to another minefield, which had been deployed and isolated Trashly from the team. Here we have 2 disconnects, and actually now we've paused. Perhaps some folks playing on the same internet here, so we'll just have to wait for them to come back. This is a little crazy here, Archer. I mean, what is going wrong for Peachimaris, or what is going so incredibly right for the bench?
Well, what's going wrong with Peachimaris right now is 2 of their players disconnected.
Okay,
But
yeah.
gameplay wise, Um, the bench is just so much more mobile. With the Moira, you do lose some of your base speed boost for the rest of your core, but when your
Yeah.
core is running a Ball Diva and like a Moira, you don't need the speed necessarily,
Yeah.
because your core is engaging them, and then the Zarya is bubbling them from far away, and you just don't need it necessarily when you're running this type of comp.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Archivist on the Wrecking Ball, Sebs on the Diva. You've got those mobility cooldowns. Really, and and this is tentative, it's situational, but really you pair Lucio up with the Reinhardt or with other heroes who need to move fast. And this might include Zenyatta as well. Possibly part of the reason that Trashly is suffering is because of a neglect from the Lucio for Peachimaris. But with Nebula and Seriator holding up the midline in the formation of the bench, Silvertals doesn't need the speed boost. They've got the angles on the Discord, these long sight lines, especially the ones that 2CP maps offer, that they can use to light up the kill feed, as we've seen them do now, finding Derpy Elf there, who is fortunately still in the lobby. We will be going back in, I think, okay, we do have them reconnecting here. So we unpause. It's good. Trashly's going to get staggered here again. Aggression from Aurora needs to be tempered there by the Peachimaris. And look at this position. It's going to enable the bench to launch the grab. They trap Pocket Ninja. Weasel surrounded. Ends up getting picked out by Silvertals. Lemon Wench dies. And just group up and spawn. Don't even leave. There's only 53 seconds remaining. Just hang out for a little longer here, Peachimaris.
It's a little brutal watching this happen. Just the Wrecking Ball sitting there, just flying back and forth and slamming.
There's another minefield, and a bomb as well from Star is going to find Silvertals, but I don't think that this is going to encourage the bench to back up out of here. Even despite the man disadvantage, they got a couple ults here, including the bomb, and they're halfway to another Coalescence. And once again, the aggression from Aurora is simply going ignored by Peachimaris. Bomb coming out from Seb so that they have an opportunity to remake. They remake onto Weasel, but it's not enough damage to get them out of the fight, and it's already mitigated by the Transcendence from Trashly. This enables Peachimaris to leave the spawn, but there's only 7 seconds to touch, and the grab from Seriator has trapped Trashly, unable to reconnect to the objective. There are now 2 supports remaining for Peachimaris. They're going to have to keep the team alive. Part of that is going to be the rally from Derpy, who's already lost that armor. In fact, no one here has armor on the point for the attackers. Shadow from Weasel is only going to go onto Seriator, and the pile drive from Archivist is enough to do the damage for Nebula to find the final blows onto Weasel and Pocket Ninja. Another map easily taken by the bench.
Very, very true. It was quite the map to experience if you are voting for the bench, and you're rooting for the bench because they capped so quickly. I do want to point out though that the Peachimaris did stall for a decent amount of time there. They stalled a minute and a half for sure off the time bank, which that in itself is kind of impressive. They made a dent in the 6 minutes, so that's good.
It might be some signs of life coming out from Peachimaris. We'll have to see. Every map being match point now. The series being first to 3 here. So we'll have to see how the series resolves, but definitely a little bit of a break. Time to cool off, refocus ourselves if we are the players for Peachimaris. We'll have to see if they can take a map or 2, swing this series from the bench, or if the bench are going to continue their dominant display and prowess over the GOAT's composition heading into our next map. You guys definitely want to stick around. We'll be heading into that shortly. We'll be back after a short break.
Welcome back to Prospect eSports Showdown Season 2 of GOATS. This has been certainly a match between the bench versus Peachimari. Currently, the bench is up 2 over Peachimaris, and it has been kind of a dominating appearance for the bench.
Yeah, they've really brought their A game to this showdown, or maybe it just looks that way because of the just lack of resistance that we're seeing from Peachimaris as far as to the way that the bench is playing, the engagement that they're looking to take, and also the wacky compositions that they're running, as we got to see on Busan Sanctuary, and then in our latest map, Horizon Lunar Colony, the Taboo map, one of two. But what isn't taboo, what is a fan favorite here is going to be our next map. That's going to be King's Row that we'll be heading into, and a good map for GOATs, good map for Brawl. I'm sure that we're going to see Reinhardts on both teams. I'm kind of hoping for it, but we'll just have to see. Before the match before we get into the match, I'm sure we'll have it pop up here in a minute. Be sure to cast your predictions for the outcome of this third map. Is Peachimari going to be able to take this map and begin swinging the series, or is the bench going to continue just stomping out the resistance here on King's Row?
Now, the bench so far has not swapped out Archivist, who has been playing that Winston for more of those speedy engages and stuff like that. And so I think we'll probably see more of that dive comp rather than the brawl on the side of the bench, which will be interesting to see these two different styles clash.
Yeah, especially since we do now have we have Nebula and Adable in on this as supports for the bench, and also on Peachamaris we have some substitutions as well. Lobster and Hippie coming in for Pocket Ninja and Weasel Cake. So maybe a little bit more mindfulness towards the mid and the back lines of their formation. Peachamaris might this substitution here in the tank line might be what Peachamaris needs to start turning this around. But we'll just have to see as we get readies, or once we get readies from both these teams, we'll be able to head into our third map, possibly match point here in this series, King's Row. Definitely looking forward to it. I think, is Peachimari starting on the defense or the attack here?
They are starting on defense, so the bench is starting with attack.
Okay, interesting.
And it is interesting. They did this last map as well on Horizon, and they came out with that super aggressive and super fast comp, and Peachamaris just didn't know how to deal with it, and they couldn't counter it. So we'll see soon whether Archivist stays, or if he picks the Winston, or if he goes to the classic Reinhardt.
I mean, when you think about King's Row, you think about Brawl. You think about Square Man, Reinhardt leading the charge. Sorry for the pun. In the formation for both these teams, and yeah, looks like we will have Reinhardts from both sides.
But on
Archivist
is on support right now.
Interesting.
Now, it is interesting. I don't know if this is what they're going to walk out with, or if they're going to end up swapping roles. But this could... It always makes me a little happy when you have people... I don't know about off-rolling, but definitely they can play multiple roles and stuff like that. And so this will be a different look for the bench. I'm looking forward to it either way.
We like seeing flexibility from the players, and here as Archivist does flex onto the Lucio, we're going to see them use the same composition as the defending Peachamaris is using. Once again, no hesitation and running into them with this Rocket Hammer. Adable is looking to D-Max star. It's actually Hippie who manages to do the damage onto Nebula, enough to weaken the attack here from the bench. Lobster is now free, swinging into the remaining tanks of Zed and Curator, and Zed actually ends up going down. Star is found out in the process though, so both sides weakened, and Lobster has to play safe, taking the pin from Adable, and Adable finds an immediate follow-up onto Lemon, and just like that, we see the impatience the over-aggression from Peachimaris ends up really hurting them after what should have been a really clean, good team fight.
There was never a call to stabilize and like group up again before you push in again. And respawns for the bench are just so much better than Peachimari's. And so Reinhardt is able to respawn and then pin back, and then they win the fight.
Now there's the tank ultimates, 2 of them, Shatter and Grav, and the Shatter from Audible blocked by Lobster. Not too much follow-up, but enough, again, to weaken the attack, but the counter Grav from Seriator is still really good. Transcendence coming out from Sebs, now on the Zenyatta, by the way, off the tank roll, and that's going to keep Seriator alive and high energy here in this fight. It's going to be important in building another Grav. The beat in response is going to be dropped by Lemon, and is going to enable Star to really push forward and find Sebs out of the fight. Sebs may be positioning a little aggressively after the Transcendence, but Peachimaris, not looking to learn the same lesson twice, is going to reset here at the corner before breaking into another team fight. Look at this, these matches happen, or these fights break out so quickly. Lobster is trying to get close to that Shatter, Audible a little bit closer. Rally coming out from Nebula, and the fire strikes are all being consumed by Zed, who is armed with a bomb. Star's bomb is the first to be launched though here, and the Shatter follow-up catches, how many is that? 5 in the bar. Lobster and Hippie lighting up the kill feed. Bomb coming out from Zed, probably in the interest of remeching. And here we have one of the first team fights that Peachimaris has just decisively won.
It's a whole new Peachimaris with Lobster on that Reinhardt. That was a massive Shatter that led them to the victory there.
Maybe a part of it is you know, Archivist not on this main tank role, but Lobster is thirsting for blood. Maybe a little too thirsty there. Goes for the Shatter and gets punished for it, and now Peachimaris has to back off. They might be able to play the man advantage, but they definitely don't have the ult advantage here, and that's clear as Derpy gets solo grabbed, and it's just get out, get out, get out is the call here from Peachimaris as Derpy, Hippie, Star ends up getting demeched and Trashly collapses to the damage from Zed. Lobster actually might get staggered here if Lemon is able to speed them out.
I think that's an overextend right there. Well, no, their team's there, so it's not. It's not. They pushed them back so far. If they can hold this forward corner on 3rd point, then the bench should be able to cap for free.
That is not what Peachimaris wants, and they're going to signal the call to arms as the rally is coming out from Derpy. A charge from Lobster, probably enabled by the extra armor, and now the beat HP isn't going to result in a push forward. Bomb coming out, finds 2. Lemon and Trashly both going down, and Star's demeched as well. As Star finds the... Star's remake killed by Zed. Oh, you hate to see it, especially after those nerfs that went live. And 4 minutes and 12 seconds, the cart has not stopped moving. Sebs is just meditating for a brief moment on the objective, and the next fight, last fight, is gonna break out soon.
On the side of, oh, here comes out the Shatter.
Now, Lobster was able to block that. The Grav eaten by Zed, fantastic. And a counter Grav lobbed by Seriator. Transcendence in response, or rather to keep the team alive here from Sebs. The bench is just looking healthier and healthier. A little bit of life re-injected into the midline of Peachimaris here as the Transcendence is going to come out from Ashley. Archivist looking for the boop, does find it onto Star. Also found Lemon Wench out of the fight here. Zed is looking for another support, gets Trashly, but the Shatter from Lobster might be what Peachimaris needs to stabilize. With 3.5 minutes in the time bank, they're able to thwart off the attackers and push them back, but look, the attackers are coming back in strength. Lobster goes in for the pin, a little overzealous there, ends up paying the ultimate price. Derpy Health has to pop the rally, but did it too late. As Audible falls, there's no mitigation onto the follow-up for the Graviton Surge, and finally, Archer, we will see some stabilization for the Peachimaris on the defense.
Yeah, probably not for too long, though. I think what happened there is the Reinhardt was going back on the cart to kill the Lucio who was stalling there. Archivist was just stalling on the cart there, and then he turned, Lobster turned his back and allowed all that damage to come onto him.
Yeah, it's, oh, watch out for the bomb. Oh, it's actually properly mitigated, but Hippie has to be careful. Derpy once again collapses early in this fight. There's the sustain. Only Lucio and Zenyatta heals, and Archivist is getting greedy in the backlines. Zed finds 2, including a Lobster. That's 3 out of the fight. Star gets demeched. Now now the beat has to be spared in the interest of staying alive on this objective just a little bit longer. But well, again, there's no target prioritization from Peachimaris. It's all on the side of the bench, and they use it to find Trashly out. Star ends up dying as well, and the Graviton Surge is gonna lock Derpy. Derpy just not having a good time here, and Lobster getting aggressive onto Sebs, but foregoing the objective. Forget the objective. There's no one else to touch. Lobster had to make something happen. They had to find a pick or die trying, and that's exactly what happens there in that last fight. How much time was in the bank there? 206. That's not too bad, actually, Archer.
Considering that they capped third point, that the bench capped third point, or not third point, but they capped second point and started third point in the castle phase with about 4 minutes. I think they had over 4 minutes when they started that third and final phase, and so they burned 2 minutes off the clock.
Another instance of Peachimaris really having the wherewithal to hold on as long as they can in some of these fights, bringing out the really actually manifesting the war of attrition that GOAT's comp matchups end up turning into, right? So again, a really good display from the defending team here. My question is, do they have that same strength on the attack, really, where they want the fights to be over as quick as possible? But at least in this series, Archer, when I think about quick fights, I'm thinking about the bench.
Definitely. The bench knew how to get in there, finish the fight quickly, and then continue pushing. They just knew how to push W, and they kept on pushing and pushing. You know, sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time it ended up in favor of the bench.
Yeah, and so here we're going to start out with a little bit different pathing, a little bit of a different approach. Got to watch out for those defense matrices, wearing down the resources. Derp going in a little aggressive with that stun there. Doesn't pay the price. In fact, Lobster emulates that same charge. Derpy and Lobster lighting up the kill feed here. We like to see the aggression from the GOAT's comp, and it's going to reward Peachimaris with these eliminations, possibly the objective as well. Archivist and Zed have both fallen, and was that a quicker take on the attack of Peachimaris than the bench?
I think that was a quicker take, and they just knew how to get in there and fight it out quickly, and they did fight quickly, and they won.
Perhaps the expression isn't as long as we breathe, hope is alive, but rather as long as we are in GOATs, hope is alive here. But Peachimaris has to temper that hope and be careful with it. Lobster going in for the shatter is going to only shatter a shield there, so no capitalization to be found out there. Has to take a little moment of respite to charge those shield resources, get all of those back up. In this war of attrition, the one with the most resources wins. Resources spared on both sides. Graviton Surge coming out, Transcendence in response from Sebs. It keeps the team alive, and the beat and response from Lemon is going to keep Peachimaris' fight here up and running. Lobster finding 2, but sacrificing themselves in the process. Hippie and Star have to compensate. Trashly is there with a Transcendence for the Graviton Surge, and Star lobs the bomb. It's going to damage the shield here for Adable, but Adable had the shatter. It was all part of the plan, and as Sebs finds the final blow onto Lemon Wench, the attack here for Peachimaris is weakened, but they aren't out of the fight yet. The rally comes out from Derpy, and it's time to push forward and take this next corner. Shield resources, particle barriers, all suffering, and it's going to elicit the beat from Archivist. It's going to keep the fight happening here at this corner, but who knows how this is going to resolve. The presence of a shatter, finding the final blow into Archivist, who was too low to sustain it. We're going to get the rally out from Nebula, but it might not be enough. Lobster is able to find the final blow into Adable, and now without a shield, Star is going to push forward, ends up getting punished for it, and the bomb is also going to come out from Zed. It's properly blocked by Lobster, but Star is not able to live. Graviton Surge is going to lock Zed in place here, and it's going to result in elimination onto them. Archivist is back here on the Lucio, but it might end up getting picked out of the fight. Discorded, yup, Hippie is there to follow up on that damage amp, and we're gonna have 3 on cart here. Do you think they'll be able to cap?
I think that the bench will be able to come back. Their Lucio is in spawn, so they don't have any speed, and they get pinned away.
Okay, nice. But Lobster finds themselves in no man's land, goes for the shatter onto Adable. It's going to slow down the response from the attackers, but the defenders. But the defenders are going to be able to make it back after the pick on Lobster. The point presence here is going to suffer, especially after losing Lemon, and the shatter from Adable is big. It is finally going to help the bench stabilize. Peachimaris will have to reevaluate their next attack.
I was a little worried there when Lobster did pin Adable, and I didn't think they would be able to touch, but Citrate and Sebs were able to get to the point and keep it contested, which allowed the rest of the team to come back around the payload and then win that fight.
Especially with these Brigidas, that contest is really strong. Here's a whole host of ultimates. The bomb coming out, the shield being held, which means there's no counterpin from Adable to Lobster. The shield is gone here for the main tank from the bench. Bomb has to be spared to survive, but locked in a Graviton Surge, 5 members. Oh, look at the Shatter as well from Lobster. It's absolutely massive. And we have the rally from both teams. Nebula ends up collapsing. Derpy is still alive in this fight, which means the sustain is here as well. The Shatter lands, but it lands into the ground. It looks like the cone wasn't quite spread out enough to capture anyone in it. Hippie finds Archivist out of the fight, so they're bleeding manpower. The bench is going to have to start backing up or really have something to commit, but they don't have any ults. They can't touch. And finally, with 3 minutes and 53 seconds remaining in the bank, the point will meet the second objective.
And I'm glad they were able to cap that, because then we get to see more Goats in King's Row.
Yeah.
Chaotic sight, but a lovely sight. And
Lobster, oh, he went in for the Shatter, but he got blocked by the bubble, the personal barrier for Searator. The picks here are still favoring Peachimaris. The bench is gonna have to back up. We're gonna see another reset. Sorry, continue, Archer.
And that was another quick fight taken by Peachimari, and it's good that they're going aggressive, because the only way to beat aggression in Overwatch is to be aggressive. And so as long as they can keep up an aggressive pace, they have potential of finishing this map.
There is some aggression onto Peachimaris, hungering for a stabilization here. The Grav, the Shatter, it's all going to be spared here. Lobster, I think, does find Zed in the pin, but is going to lose their lives in the process. And now we'll have a backup for Peachimaris. They'll be able to reassess the next attack. They've got some support ultimates in the bank here to make this work as well.
Peachimari does 2 of the 3 support ultimates, and so they should be able to push really hard, seeing that Citrate doesn't have a grab, and so there's nothing to counter that they need a counter.
Yeah, they do have to block the bomb here. The shield goes up. Particle Barrier from Hippie is able to generate some charge, some energy, and damage for them. Zed actually gets thwarted in their remake attempt. And despite the rally, the Shatter is going to be big. The follow-up, possibly enough to put Peachimaris on a forward momentum, a forward trajectory here as they push around this next corner, but they have to get Archivist first. Okay, perfect. Coming to this last teamfight territory, the time bank is lower here now for Peachimaris, but there's still a chance at keeping the series going.
Peachimari does have a Grav Bomb, so they could potentially combo something if they're feeling a little interesting. Here we go with Grav Bomb.
Ooh, does find Sebs. Adable collapses to the damage, the pressure from Trashly, and despite losing Derpy early in the fight, it looks like Peachimaris is still emerging victorious in this fight. In fact, there might not even be an opportunity to touch here for the bench. Are they going to be able to get on it? Adable was on the ball, but they weren't able to touch in time. Archer, King's Row is still going. The series is alive, and Peachimaris now has a chance at taking out a map from the bench. They're snuffing out the flames of aggression here that the bench represents to them, and in turn igniting their own presence on these objectives in these team fights. It's only going to get better from here if we can just go to a map 4.
I know, it's crazy. The fact that they were able to cap, and at this point, I do believe they have that, you know, the adrenaline and all the excitement and energy from capping that, and that's their first cap against the kind of momentous and stuff like that. And so if they can use this energy and cap this and finish out this map and take King's Row, that's exciting. I think there is potential then for many other great things to happen.
Yeah, and so we're gonna see similar compositions again emerging from both these teams, but again, with Adable on the Reinhardt, it looks like Lobster is more than a match here for it. So I'm sorry, for the bench. So can they keep up this aggression? Can they keep this momentum going? Can they keep this energy up? And as the team fight breaks out into the choke, Derpy again getting a little overextended there, but it is going to force the bench back here. Defending team has to play very slowly. They don't want to yield the first objective, but more importantly, they just need to drain out the time bank. Look at the speed of that shatter! Lobster downs 3 and follows up with an elimination onto Adable. Zed gets demeched already. Once again, a first point take of the objective. And it's so quick as well.
That really was... Lobster charged that shatter so quickly, and he was able to lay it down, and the bench was caught unexpected. They were unaware that he would be able to charge a shatter that quickly, and then he just laid them all on their back with it.
Oh, look at the reverse spin from Lobster onto Seriator there. Already weakens the manpower for the bench, and they're going to back up all the way to a couple of corners down, and that's gonna result in some good real estate here for Peachimaris.
Typically, you leave one player, typically a support, on the cart to push it, which makes your front line weaker. And so if they get all this cart progress for free and they take a fight on the cart, then they're both at 6 men, and they are not at a disadvantage.
The anti-nade onto Derpy from Sebs might be the advantage that the bench is looking for, but the counter shatter from Lobster is going to hit 2, including a nano-boosted Adable. The Graviton Surge is going to lock the main tank and Zed in place, and it looks like Adable is going to sustain a pin. The beat is going to be there to keep the team alive in the presence of the grab, and the Transcendence as well, but the picks have already gone in favor of the bench. It's only Hippie, Lobster, and Trashly remaining. Can they make something happen as Trashly is pressured out by Zed? They're going to go down. Beat here to keep the bench alive, and as the bomb comes out, Hippie will fall, and that is the end of the second attack round for Peachimaris.
It's definitely exciting. There is definitely potential for Peachimaris to take the map. They didn't push it as far as they wanted, because obviously you always want to, try your hardest to cap third. But getting it halfway through Street Space isn't horrible. Especially if Peachimari can hold first point for more than one push or something like that. If they can hold it for a minute here, and then the bench only has a minute in Streets phase, that's very advantageous for Peachimari.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's doable as well. And we saw this, Archer. We saw this on their first defense. They actually managed to win the first fight, and then just got a little bit overzealous and ended up getting punished for it. So I think again they've learned this lesson a couple of times, and I think that they have what it takes to at least take King's Row from the bench. Chad Wakawezi in the chat says they believe in Peachimaris, and I believe in them too. I think that we'll get a good showing on the defense here from them. But again, my question is, are they going to get punished for an over-aggressive play? Is Derpy going to die early, or is Star going to get demeched early in the fight? These are things we have to watch out for.
I really hope that someone on Peachimari does call the call to stabilize, and they actually do stabilize, because that's what happened last time when these two teams clashed on this point. Peachimari stabilized.
Yeah, and as the fight breaks out, it's going to result in first blood on Archivist, but Derpy falls as well. Particle barrier is spared for both sides, and a little bit of objective progress yielded here by the Peachimaris, but a quick re-engagement around the corner is going to result in a DMEC onto Zed. Star finds Seriator out as well, so the tank presence on the objective for the bench is going to suffer, and as Adable falls, the team fight is won. Again, not going super over-aggressive, but definitely chasing for this extra ult charge, these extra picks. Hippie is able to find Sebs, and I think that's it for this first team fight.
And they've burned 50 seconds off the clock with just that fight. If they can win another fight, then they are in a wonderful position.
And they're going to have some ultimates in order to help them do that, and to win future fights as well. The shatter comes out from Adable, and the counter shatter and the grab is bigger. The Lobster blocks the shatter. A little bit of an MTD here, as Zed is the last one to collapse in this fight. No more objective progress yielded than in the first fight. We're going to get a stagger onto Zed as well. We're going to need a quick regroup here as from the bench.
We're going to be down to around 30 seconds after Zed respawns. This is very winnable for Peachimaris.
Yeah, all they need to do is just stay strong. They've got support ultimates here to do it. Bomb is going to be deployed into the mid lines of the bench. Star doesn't find anything from it, is able to remap, get closer to that next ult, hopefully, as the fight progresses. We do have the Shatter, hopefully, coming up soon from Lobster. Adable more than twice as far up. Graviton Surge is going to lock Peachimaris off the objective. Trashly pops the Transcendence, but not in enough time to save Star from the D-Mech. Lobster has to push, but can't push into the bomb that Zed has popped. Zed, looking for the remap kill, is going to connect onto Lobster, actually kills Lemon and does enough damage so that Nebula can follow up. And now we have a loss of the objective, but not of the map yet. We're gonna have a regroup for Peachimaris, and if they can connect fast enough, then they have a chance at winning the last fight.
For sure. There's a Shatter available for Lobster, and they're close to a Grav as well, and the Rally. The Rally will provide lots of sustain, and then Grav Shatter just strong ultimates to eliminate the other team. But you have double support ultimates on the side of the bench.
Yeah, including that Transcendence, and there's no Bionade to counter it there. Shatter comes out from Audible, gets stunned in the process, and only connects to a shield. So for now, Peachimaris is looking good. Look at the counter Shatter! Look at Lobster go! The Transcendence is there from Sebs, and I think that the beat was dropped as well from Archivist. Both support ults used at the same time isn't really gonna be good. The team fight won't be able to last too long for the bench, but as the rally comes out from Nebula, another Shatter from Lobster! Downs 4 or 5 again. The bomb from Star finds Archivist, and it could go either way at this point, but Lobster has the damage on their side. Star is there. Lobster collapses though, and the Graviton Surge from Seriator gets 3. The Shatter from Audible finally connects to a couple of targets without Lobster shield in the way. Is there an opportunity as the bomb comes out from Zed? It won't find anything. There's no one there, and the series is over.
That was a series to watch. I enjoyed that. Lobster had so many great shatters and counter shatters. I loved watching him play. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
he wasn't able to clutch it out for Peachimaris. I really thought they were going to be able to, with the energy that Lobster brought to Peachimaris and the lobby, that he would be able to hopefully clutch it up and we'd continue the series. But unfortunately, it is a 3-0 in favor of the bench.
Yeah, a really good display of their prowess once again on the Ghost composition, and we saw signs of life from Peachimaris partially off the back of Lobster. Definitely an easy MVP candidate on the side of Peachimaris. You guys will see those polls go up here momentarily. We'll have MVP for both teams and MSP for our victory or our victors of the match in the bench. And actually, we didn't get to observe it there, but. Trashly with 8k Transcendence healing and 20k healing done just on the Zenyatta. For those who are quick to dismiss Zenyatta's healing potential, can't forget about those Transcendences, which were so influential in keeping Peachimaris alive. If only some of them might have come in a little bit sooner. A couple of instances where someone would get caught in the grab, or Star would get caught in the grab, and the Transcendence wasn't there in time to keep them in mech. But overall, really good performance from both these teams. Like you said, it was a good series. It was a 3-0, a little bit of a stomp, especially in that first map. But again, we saw some really good resistance from Peachimaris. Hopefully some lessons learned, including have Lobster in your starting lineup from now on. Even though Weaselcake was there as the Reinhardt, definitely lethal enough to represent the Spear of the Goats comp. Lobster just really coming through, especially in the matchup against Audible in that as the Reinhardt, the main tank for King's Row. King's Row, which ultimately just really favored Lobster's playstyle as well.
It did. As soon as Peachimari flipped the switch and started actually playing aggressive, which you need to do in any kind of brawl comp. Once they started going aggressive and started making plays and doing crazy stuff like that, it was looking much better for Peachimaris. The bench came out really strong on that first point. Both time, well, not the second time, but definitely the first time came out really strong. But then Pete hit back even harder, which was exciting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really good engagements happened between both these teams, and all reaching the pinnacle of this series in Kings Row. Definitely, if you missed out, you certainly missed out. But what you aren't missing out on is the opportunity to select our MVPs for each team and our MSPs, our MSP for the bench here. Who did the most and who did the least, particularly on the side of the bench here for Peachimaris. Just easy candidates there. Again, have to highlight the healing that came in from Trashly. Just consistent for the evening. Definitely struggled a little bit against Aurora's Moira on Horizon Lunar Colony, but coming through on Kings Row, especially there to help the aggression that came in from Lobster. Again, another really easy MVP candidate. Their off tank in Hippie as well, coming through with the damage and the particle barriers. And Star again played all three of these matches, had some rough patches, but also some really good bombs as well. So those are definitely some of the ones that we're looking for on the side of Peachimaris. Here for the bench, Archer, who are some really standout performers for you?
I really did enjoy. I'm a Reinhardt main, so I love seeing Reinhardt played.
Yep.
And so they played very well. But also the Zen does so much damage in these comps. And definitely with like the Discord orb. So I would say either uh all the players left.
I always have to look at my social and
Yeah, I
so that I
gotta
can
go.
keep myself
I gotta
appraised of
go
all the
find it.
definitely one who stood out for the first two matches was Silvertools on the Zenyatta.
True.
Definitely a really good matchup against the Zenyatta here for Peachimaris. Came through with the damage, the final blows, the elims, and was there with the transcendences as well. Despite being swapped out there and Sebs taking up that role, I definitely noticed Silvertools a little bit more. So definitely they're one of the ones that I enjoyed watching.
Yeah, Silvertools played very well. And I do like the variety that Archivist had.
Mhm.
I enjoyed seeing them run more of a dive style on Horizon Lunar Colony, and I think he played a decent a pretty good Winston on that map,
Mhm.
especially with at the end of at the end of second point when he was booping the Brigida and the Reinhardt off.
Oh yeah, yep.
They there was no chance for them to trigger OT and keep the game going any longer.
Yeah, absolutely, and some encouragement in the chat here for Weasel Cake. I'll do better next time. Yeah, because we as players we only ever get better. Weasel Cake, no need to be discouraged here. Lots of love in the chat going out to the main tank player here for Peachimaris. Definitely, again, definitely another standout performer, especially in those two maps. They were the lethal force for the Peachimaris, but I like that you mentioned the archivist on the main tank, going back towards the players for the bench. Definitely some good versatility. We saw a little bit of them on the wrecking ball as well, and Seriator was they were consistent throughout all the matches, but definitely Archivist was was there lighting up the kill feed pretty consistently. Uh, uh, it was Zed on. Oh goodness, I always lose track. Was it Sebs or Zed on the Diva for most of that series? It was Zed, right?
I think it was.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it was Zed.
definitely Zed for that last map, because almost every time he had his mech back, I saw the kill feed light up with remech kill on the opposing diva, which is a little unfortunate but also funny. I find that funny.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit, and a good flex a good flex from Sebs onto the Zenyatta there. Zed in the last round playing Diva is actually an interesting flex, considering that they play a lot more main tank than really anything else. So lots of flexibility from both these teams, but definitely from the bench to highlight here in this series. Looks like. Be sure to guys to cast your vote for MVP for both these teams. I think that the poll has ended now for Peachimaris, so we should be able to get them in for an interview here shortly.
Yes, sirree. Once
And
I
then,
find them.
and then in the meantime, we'll have the poll go up for MVP for the bench as well, and then of course our MSP. And It's always so hard to select MSP, especially for the goats composition, because it's just like how do you find the person who did the least in the goats comp, right? So, but certainly, there were those who lit up the kill feed maybe a little bit less, and despite the consistency, Seriator was really more the rock, the steady rock in the midline for the bench. Nebula only got to play one match, and their brig was good. Got eliminated early a couple of times on Kings Road, though. You have Adable getting a little MTD there on Kings Row against Lobster. Honestly, I want to nominate Aurora as MSP for the bench for the devastating DPS Moira performance from Horizon Lunar Colony there. Uh, Here, however, for MVP for Peachimaris, oh no,
Yeah, my
they
my
left, right?
bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no, I pulled the wrong person. That was my bad. My bad.
So be sure to cast your votes for MVP for the bench as well, and then again shortly after that, MSP. Chat, please pick Aurora. I wanna add them for going up against my fellow Zenyatta players. A little unlucky demonstration of the DPS Moira. But still ended up being very effective for the bench. So again, it's always a tough decision to come out and say, who was the least effective player for the winning team. But it is a tradition that we like doing here on the channel. Here for Peachimaris as MVP, we have is this Lobster?
It. I
Yes.
I hope so.
Lobster, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks for asking. A particular riveting performance that you displayed for us on King's Row. Do you? I guess you are a tank main, right? Would that be Reinhardt that you play most?
Yeah, I was a tank main for quite a long time,
Gotcha.
especially my main. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And so Reinhardt, what other tanks do you like playing?
I mean, just about every main tank. I played Orisa, Winston, all that ball.
Okay, gotcha. Orisa, who's actually kind of irritatingly enough, increasing in power level
Yeah.
recently. Do you find yourself forced into the double shield matchup often?
Well, to be fair, recently I actually switched roles because I've been playing this game for just about almost 5 years now.
Okay.
So yeah, I really recently switched to the flex support role.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. And
but
so flexing over to the flex support, that actually gives you a really good kind of basis of knowledge for where all of these heroes fit into the context of the goat's composition.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, I always used to tell because really I'm the coach for the Peachimaris, and I always tell them you should play other roles because it helps you figure out what they're going through while you're going through what you're going through.
And definitely that's something that helped me learning Zenyatta back in season 3. You remember the prevalence of dive comp and how he was a priority target in every team fight. Was
Yeah,
playing a little bit of DPS myself and learning kind of what you need to look for when you're on DPS, and that helped me. So you're absolutely right. Being flexible or at least having a good understanding of those other roles can be really helpful.
yeah, yeah.
You only got to play one map this evening, which is a little unfortunate. I'm eager to watch you play again. Are you kind of are you just kind of the ace in the hole here for the Peachamaris in terms of the main tank?
Yeah, because actually, me and Hippie are on our own same team actually. Because
Okay.
we just signed up for this Goats tournament for fun and stuff.
Yeah.
We're both on a team called For's Revenge, and everybody on the bench
Yep.
knows who we are because
Yep.
we did a riveting series of 4 to 5. We lost one map, the last map. I thought it was
Yes.
4 to 5 because it was like the ending.
Yeah, it
Oh
was it
yeah.
was the Prospect Esports Showdown season 2. It was the very end. In fact, I think it was I think I was able to cast one. I think I was able to cast that game. Um.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was a really exciting match.
That was probably another reason why I did so good because I wanted to get revenge on them so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And a little bit of revenge you did get. So, after the series that you guys played this evening, that Peach Amari's played, definitely a tough series, but a lot of lessons to learn at the same time. Nothing to be discouraged by any means. What would you say is probably the biggest lesson to take away from this series?
Well, it's just learning how to play as a team because this is a lot of them just about well, just about all of them their first actual tournament. especially anything, and we love the way that Prospect does things. So we really wanted Prospect to be their first, kind of sponsor, I guess.
Yeah.
So just learning how to play as a team was our best. Was one of the biggest reasons why we signed up for this GOAT tournament.
A really important fundamental that ends up getting even the highest level teams in a lot of trouble when they don't embrace the importance of playing as a team. So that is absolutely a great lesson to learn, and once again, a great performance from Peachimaris in spite of the pressure that was represented by the bench. Thank you so much for joining us in the booth, Lobster, and for answering our incessant questions. Best of luck to you and the Peachimaris as the tournament continues. All of us here in the booth, we are very excited to watch you guys play in future matches.
All right, no, thank you, and yeah, you have a nice night as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lobster. And Archer, we have our MVP for the bench now. Is that right?
I see MSP, but which
MSP.
which
Okay.
MSP is currently what the most recent poll was for, I believe anyway. I will go get them in a second.
Nice, nice. Do we know who it ended up being?
It, okay, so do we want to do MVP first?
Yeah, let's get the
Okay,
MVP.
what was MVP? Who? Silvertalls. All right,
Oh, okay.
I will go get him.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, absolutely, fellow Zenyatta player for us to pick their brain a little bit. Zenyatta just being really important in the goats composition. Once again, half the well, actually, most of the target prioritization, half the damage there. Star Cookie going crazy in the chat right now. Lobster, we love you. Yeah, we love Lobster. We love the Peachimaris and here in the Prospect family. We do welcome them absolutely. This being their first tournament, it's always really exciting to see new blood. So once again, well played to the Peachimaris. But congratulations to the bench and of the bench, we have Silvertalls here in the booth. Silvertalls, congratulations on you guys' decisive victory this evening.
Thank you.
Feeling after that game?
Feeling pretty good
Okay.
after
Yeah.
winning. Yeah.
Yeah, and pretty again pretty decisively as well. A big part of it, obviously, with you being nominated as the MVP of the bench, a big part of it being your Zenyatta gameplay on the first two maps on Busan and Horizon Lunar Colony. Is Zenyatta your main hero?
Um kind of. I am a flex support player, so I
Mhm.
play a lot of Zenyatta usually, and some people do say Zenyatta is my best flex support. So kind of,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha. I imagine you're locked in Baptiste jail a lot right now as
Oh yeah, I am. A
well.
lot of Baptiste is being played.
Yeah, he's very powerful. Although with the hit scan changes, it seems like Zenyatta has increased in power level a little bit just because of his damage potential. His orbs don't have fall off damage, so you can take out an Ashe from long distance maybe a little easier now than she can take you down. But we're not seeing a lot of DPS, really any DPS here in this tournament. And a really good performance from your Zen. A big part of that is as Archer you had mentioned, target prioritization and focus. So when it comes to the Discord orbs and the target calling, is it you doing most of that prioritization, or is it
I
really just your main tank saying let's go in?
I kind of do yell at the Reinhardt in Discord, and then we kind of just go in towards the Reinhardt, and once the Reinhardt dies, we kind of just find whoever's staggering behind or in front of their team, so we can just pick them off.
Yeah, and you guys ran. I think that your Zenyatta was actually a consistency in your compositions. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys did run a couple of wacky compositions, particularly with the Wrecking Ball, the Roadhog. I think at one point on Busan Sanctuary, you guys had a Sigma. Do you have
Yeah,
a preferred variation of the Goats comp, or does the team really just like the quintessential Goats comp?
we do like to play the normal Ghost Con, but we do like to switch it up a little bit if we can, depending on the map, if it could be better or not.
Like on Busan Sanctuary, where you guys were able
Yeah,
to take all these kinds of different engagements here. Yeah, absolutely, and it ended up working out really well for you guys as well. It's definitely going to be something to watch in the future because. I'm looking at the schedule now to actually figure out who you're playing next. You guys will be going up against Is that Let's All Press Q is going to be your next game? I think it is. So are you guys anticipating running any of these wacky compositions against maybe any of the higher seeded teams, or you guys just
Uh,
kind of run what works?
we might just run what works. I think we're just gonna go traditional goats and see if we are able to do something a little bit funky to maybe throw them off guard or something.
Gotcha. And actually, I'm sorry. I think I spoke too soon. I think it's actually DA crew that you're playing against next. But
Yeah,
I
I'm
might
not
be
sure who we
wrong.
play next.
Question.
I don't know who
Question.
we play next. I
Like you
just
said,
show
just
up.
kind of yeah, but just kind of run what works and go from there. So after this decisive victory, again, you guys played really well. Do you have any commendations to give to the Peachimaris? Anything that you noticed that they did really well? Anything that kind of put you on edge? Kind of made the team go, oh wait, they're pretty capable. Anything that you observed from the Peachimaris that you were like, we've got to make sure to crush this resistance so that we can win this decisively?
Definitely on King's Row when they put in the 2 tanks in. When I was watching from the perspective from spectating that their tanks played very well, and also in Horizon Lunar Colony, I kind of got Zen diffed a little bit, just a little bit on
Maybe a little,
Horizon,
yeah.
but no, that was about it. They did play pretty well for what rank they are, so
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think they will definitely improve and become better players.
Yeah, not only for the progression this tournament, but also future ones here in Prospect Esports. We are excited to see the team as a whole grow, and again to see them play more. As I am also excited to watch the bench continue to play. Lobster and I reminisced a little bit about Prospect Esports Season 3, and in the final match between Ford's Revenge and the bench, that was a lot of fun. So I mean, again, definitely eager to see both you guys play. Congratulations again on your victory. Thanks again for joining us in the booth tonight, Silvertalls.
You're welcome. Thank you for hosting our game
Of
and
course.
commentating.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to watch the bench play. You have a great rest of the evening.
All right, you too.
Finally, guys, thanks for sticking around. We will have our MSP hopefully joining us here in a few moments. And who ended up getting the vote for MSP? Aurora, as I hoped. It was okay. All right. So we'll be able to point some fingers at the resident DPS Moira player for the bench. Aurora, welcome to the booth. Thank you for joining us this evening. Congratulations on your victory. And my only question for you is, how could you?
Hello, great to be here. No, I was inspired by the great Nolan Overwatch, and I decided that, well, there's no DPS heroes allowed in GOATs, so I'd take it in my own hands.
If you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. Is that your take on
Yes,
on the
yes.
support role?
I decided to let our tanks get healing from a Brig and a Zen and GOATs, and I just went and did DPS, and I got a 6K. So you know what? I think it worked pretty well.
If it works, it works.
Also, this is my second time in here now in 2 tournaments, so feeling great.
Okay.
I am
Was it for being voted MSP or MVP?
MSP in both. I am simply electing to believe that MSP means main support player.
Main support player.
Yes, I
Yeah.
play. I mean, my mains are Lucio, Brig, Mercy. I am very much a main support player. I just wanted to pull out the nails for Horizon.
What did they call Moira? Moira Goats Comp, or when Moira was metal, wasn't it Nail Jail or something like
That
that?
was That was the original Goats comp, and flexible
Oh my
players in
goodness.
in the nail jail.
That
Although
is
honestly,
absolutely brutal.
I think the DPS being stuck playing Brig would have complained a lot more about being in jail than the flex supports.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Still, a really, really. I mean, at least in terms of DPS, Moira goes a really competent display that you got to put on for us in Horizon Lunar Colony. Would you
My
have
thought
preferred?
process
Mhm.
my thought process was effectively, where is the enemy Zen? Damage orb the enemy Zen. kill the enemy Zen, fade away.
I'm watching you just hang out in the back lines for way too long, and I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, put me in, coach. Let me 1v1 Aurora in honor of all Zenyatta players out there, which again was the reason why my only question to you is how could you?
I can't promise that I can't promise that I'm a good duelist, but it was, I saw the opportunity and it had to be done.
Some of the best support players out there are the ones who can identify those opportunities and just capitalize on it themselves. We think about Jonak's transcendences, and we kind of chuckle under our breath a little bit, but then we think about his dueling potential, his ability to say there's a threat here, or a priority target. Let me deal with it. And so I can understand. I can appreciate your approach to the DPS more, even if it did make my blood boil just a little bit. I think the only map that you got to play in was Horizon Lunar Colony. Is that right?
No, I played the first.
Okay, you
Did
played
I play the
Busan as
first?
well.
I played Busan,
Okay.
and did I play? I don't remember. My
Yeah,
brain is failing
you
me.
played Horizon
It was
Lunar
just
Colony, but
Busan.
you didn't play in Kings Row. As far as
No.
Assault goes, would you ever rather play Horizon Lunar Colony or Paris?
Horizon. I wanted to take a fight in space. That was I was gunning for that, and then we never took a fight in space.
We Archer, we were so disappointed about that.
Low grav.
True.
I just with we had the chance to play low gravity goats, and we didn't play low gravity goats. I'm disappointed.
Well, maybe in the next series, because this is also the map pool for week 4, I think. So all of our map twos are going to be
Nice.
picking the lesser of two evils. I anticipate seeing a lot of Horizon Lunar Colony
Yeah, I
as
think
the
some of my
tournament
teammates.
progresses.
Yeah, I think some of my teammates were trying to push for Paris just because it's annoying, and so they
Oh,
were
no.
they were trolling a little bit with that. But we ended up with Horizon anyways.
A
But
little, a
no
little
no
bit.
space fight.
No space fight. Not for Aurora, not for the DPS Mora, taking matters into their own hands. Congratulations, Aurora, on your second MSP award. Hopefully, the accolades continue to shower you as the series progresses. Hopefully, you
I'm
also find similar success in your future matches playing on the bench.
I'm holding these MSP awards with pride.
As well, you should. Thank you for joining us tonight, Aurora. Good games, very well played, and we'll see you. We'll see you hopefully in the next series as well.
Yeah, glad to be here. And
Well,
GG's to the Peachimaris.
yeah, the Peachimaris. Yep, yep.
Had to check the team name real quick.
Been
Yeah.
there, done that.
GG's to both these teams, and again, congratulations to the decisive victory on the side here of the bench. Archer, I don't think that I have any remaining closing thoughts on this series.
Yeah, I just want to say GG's to both Peachimaris and the bench. You all played. It was very fun. It was a little
It was a fun
chaotic.
series.
It was a very fun series. It was chaotic, which is what Ghost is, I guess, supposed to be, man. I'm sad. I have never played goats. I'll have to get my team to scrim goats sometimes. But
It's painful.
hey, not when you're the main tank player. Hopefully, getting enabled, and then
Yeah, true.
you get to drop a few MTDs in chat.
Until you get like perma CC, then that's not fun.
The
True.
main tank experience.
Yeah. Anyways, I want to say congratulations to all our MVPs and MSPs on your, allotted awards. Take them with pride, and maybe a little bit of sorrow.
No sorrow here. I'm proud. Hey,
He's
you know what?
proud for his
If I'm
awards.
getting voted MSP, it means that people think the rest of my team played well,
True.
or just that I played like trash. But you know what? I will accept that.
In your defense, you got MSP this time for doing a little bit of bad manners there.
I think
Spawn
I
camping us
earned.
in.
I think I earned the MSP for playing Flank Moira. The last time I got it for basically just inting on Lucio. So
Nice.
well earned. In
Yeah. Well, I think
don't know if that's the best or worst way possible, but I'll let the viewers decide.
Yep.
It's
Well,
gonna
thank
be
you.
something different next time as well. But yeah,
True.
Archer.
Next time it's just gonna be me. It's gonna be I'm gonna lose the Mercy duel twice.
Ah. Alrighty.
The Valkyrie Mercy duel.
Well, I that's everything from me. GG's to everyone. Do you have anything else?
No, Archer. Again, decisive series. GG's to both of our teams. Everyone, shower. Oh goodness, I've got to check my recent players again. Shower Weasel Cake with love in the chat. Again, really good resistance we saw from Peachimaris. Congratulations to our MSPs and MVPs and Archer. That's all I've got to say.
Alrighty. Everyone, thank you for joining us to watch this match between Peachimaris Peachimaris and the bench. Congratulations, the bench, on a 3-0 victory against Peachimaris. And that will conclude our stream and our cast of Prospects eSports Showdown Season 2 of GOATS. The bench versus Peachimaris. Thank you and have a good night.